Right. Hi. My name is Ibrahim Ratika, and I would just be going, um, listing just some definitions in my own words, as well as a real world example that I would just be making up, or that I have made up to, um, to share. Anyway, right. For our first, definition or whatever, it's just low speed strength. Um, Low speed strength, it basically allows you to produce a large amount of force or energy during a slow or like a heavier movement. Obviously, where the speed is low in that movement, it's because it's obviously a heavier load. Versus a high speed, like strength, think of muscular power, think of having a quick onset, usually think of like a one and done type movement that kind of gets you to generate that force quickly. Think of, I don't know, think of like javelin throwing. You have to run, throw the javelin, just exert a whole bunch of force all at once, super quick, super fast. For the anaerobic capacity, it's basically where it's the body's like limit or like ability to produce energy without using oxygen during short, high intensity exercises. I'm trying to think of um, think of sprints. That's a good one. Think of repeated sprints, and you have that short, just real fast movement, which just allows very little oxygen to be coming through, but still gets the job done. Muscular endurance. Muscular endurance is the ability just for the muscle to go for a certain period of time, kind of depending on like the repeated, or it's like the repeated force, like the reps, I guess you could say, the repetitions without or before becoming fatigued, if that makes sense. Agility, think of the rapid change in direction. I think a common one, especially with the World Cup just today. Think of soccer. They have to make cuts, explosive movements, things like that, to gather themselves. Body control, speed, all that plays a factor. But yeah, and for speed, it's just the way the body wants to go as quick as possible. I don't know, think of sprinting. Yeah, I think sprinting is a really good example. Balance and stability. Balance is, I guess, your body's capability to reach a fine line of support against gravity, usually. Stability kind of piggybacks on that, but it maintains that support, or like maintains that control doing those movements. But yeah, part two. Part two. So we have. Sorry, I'm just gonna look at my notes. We have absolute versus relative muscular strength. Absolute muscular strength. It's absolute. The way I think of absolute, it's like it's given it its all. It's basically the max force you can produce, I think, regardless of weight. Yeah, regardless of your weight, it's just the max effort you're able to come out, versus the relative um, muscular strength. It's that strength compared to that body weight. So it's basically a fraction of that. It's where you get the max strength and you divide it by that muscle mass, or like body mass is what I meant. Body mass. Isometric versus isotonic versus isokinetic. Muscular strength. Isometric, think of it's strength that is produced usually without changing in muscle length, if that makes sense, or like joint movement. Think of kind of pushing on an immovable object. It just has that. Isotonic strength, it basically involves the muscles shortening and lengthening while moving a consistent load. I think a real common one, think of like a squat or bench press. Yeah. Versus isometric, where it's just immovable, but you're still applying that force and pressure. And isokinetic strength occurs when muscles contract, and they contract at a really good constant speed, using probably like specialized equipment. I think you can get that through various machines that specialize in that specialized mobility. And you can just adjust the resistance throughout. What else? Right, absolute muscular endurance. Kind of like earlier with the strength, endurance, it's just how much you can repeat that certain movement to the max of your body's capability without like a fixed amount of resistance. Versus relative muscular endurance, it's basically that endurance that is relative to that person's body weight or maximum strength. Absolute versus relative muscular power. For absolute muscular power, it's the maximum power an athlete can generate, or like the energy that they can expend, regardless of the body weight. And then the relative muscular power, it goes off the body weight, making it useful to compare, I guess, athletes of different sizes. So it all does that. Power endurance, or like power repeated output. It's basically the ability to rapidly or like repeatedly perform like very powerful and explosive movements while maintaining a very good like a high power output without really going down in performance. It's like staying the same or better. But yeah, speed endurance is the ability to maintain a really good certain speed that you want, a desired speed that you want, over an X period of time. So think of like a biker, or like a bicycle marathon person. I would imagine they would be going at a really good speed. Maybe like not on curves or whatever, obviously, but yeah. Agility, endurance, it's kind of like earlier with just agility. It's just how long you can do those repeated movements, those like rapid changes, explosive movements, things like that, without too much fatigue, because you want to build that endurance. I think that's it. Right. So for my, let me pull up my notes. So for my like real world scenario type thing, I did this. I got the athlete group. I just chose high school students, so 6 high school students. um, and a male varsity soccer between the ages of 16 and 17. These athletes probably have like a year of resistance training, maybe 2 years, and they regularly participate in strength and speed training. I would just imagine that they would. And keep in mind, they're like teenagers, like 16, 17, so I would say it's pretty good. Something that I would be testing, probably back squat, vertical jump, 40-yard dash, I would say. And these are obviously 3 different, like for the back squat, for example, the 1 rep max, that's pounds. Vertical jump is measured, inches. 40-yard dash, obviously time, seconds. So for the raw performative data, I just put like in a little guess and check, or no, I went to like the average scores that I found just online, and then I just put some random scores in. So I just made up data for athlete 1 through 6, or I listed A through F. I got good averages between different places. So for the back squat, the vertical jump, and the 40-yard dash, like I said. So with those athletes, something I wanted to do was just calculate the means, which is meaning I just added all the scores for the back squat. I added all those up. For the vertical jump, I added all those up separately, like in their own respected columns. I added those up, I totaled it, and I divided it by how many people there were to get the mean. So for that, for the squat, I got an average of a 305. And keep in mind, this is for 16, 17 athletes. For the vertical jump, I got an average of 27.5 inches. So like I said, for the mean, I just added everything up, and I just divided it by how many people there were. For the 40-yard dash, there was an average of 4.85. And the same thing with all the others. I just got the average of each student or each athlete, and I just divided that. Right. So now with the standard deviations, which is step 2. For the back squat, standard deviation, it's 4.2.13. The vertical jump standard deviation is 2.74 inches. And the 40-yard dash standard deviation is 0.18 seconds. And something you can really do, it's super easy to check. You can just like go on Excel and you plug all your stuff in, and you can get like a chart from there. But basically with that, the standard deviations, you can see obviously how much you go above the standard or below the standard deviation, and you can really track your like progress in a sense there. But really, I think the Z score is rather a good indicator, because it's where the higher the Z score, the better in a sense. So think of like the back squat and the vertical jump. For when there's the lower the scores could be better. And for the Z table, I wish I could show y'all, but there was a squat, the vertical the squat, the vertical jump, and the sprint, and you calculate those Z scores, and then you have, for example, depending on the athlete as well, it's not just one thing, it's I guess the sum of that. So the sum of each Z score for the squat, vertical jump, and the sprint, that's all calculated and put aside to the sum of the Z scores for each individual student. So then from there you can create a ranking in a sense. Um, how do I think about it? So, think for the back squat and the vertical jump, right? The higher the values indicate better performance. So the athlete's score is subtracted from the mean, and then it shows like calculations. So we go back up to the what did I say for the squat, right? Yeah, for the squat and vertical jump, higher values indicate better performance. So I wish I could show y'all, but you have really good, a real high performance with the vertical jump and uh, the squat with a select student indicating him to be the better like athlete in a sense. And for the 40-yard dash, the lower the time indicates better performance. That's what you want. You don't want a 40-yard dash to be done in I don't know, 40 seconds or something like that, which I didn't have in my scenarios. I think my lowest let's see, my lowest score for that, it was super, yeah, my lowest score was like a 5.1, which is still pretty okay in a sense, but not the best. But yeah, so through all that, I found out that athlete C is my strongest asset on the team, or performer, overall performer, with those three respected tests. He had a real heavy squat, vertical jump, fastest sprint time, so obviously he's ranked number one of the six randomly generated people. So yeah, so just using the Z scores, you're just really allowed to see progress faster or like more efficiently than anything. And those different tests and I guess the measurements with that. But yeah, that's about it.